But freedom has to be a two-way freeway. You know? It has to go both directions. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because what you're speaking about, I mean, I understand this is, you know, this was a difficult thing, and wouldn't even pretend to be, you know, that it wouldn't, to say that, you know, it shouldn't have been difficult or anything like that. But almost everybody experiences what you're speaking about in some way or another. And usually the reason is because, well, number one, most people haven't discovered their own innate freedom and well-being. And even if they have, 90% of those that have not yet given it away, so that everybody gets to be free of them. You know, I want to be free from you, but you know, I really don't want you to be so free from me. Right? It's like leaving home. You know, if you leave home, you're like, okay, damn it, I'm so glad to be free of my parents. But 60 years later, and I'm goddamn still pissed off that they are the way they are, you see, because you left home, but you never gave them their freedom. Do you see what I mean? I mean, most people are like that, and to some degree or another, you know. We do what we can to gain our independence, our freedom, our own autonomy, but we can never really inhabit it until we've given it back. That doesn't mean we've got to like what somebody does, or agree with what somebody does, or endorse the way they are, or the conclusions they make. It just means we allow them total freedom to be themselves. And then all of a sudden, those energetic, invisible cords that connect us in very unhealthy ways, they just disappear. And the connection that's there, that innate connection, remains.
It's often not a one-time thing, it seems.
No. I don't suggest it's a one-time thing. It may be. More often than not, it has to be done in different, you know, you'll think you've done it, and then you'll go, oops, well, there's a holdout right there. I didn't do it there. Mm-hmm. And then you go, well, okay, I've given freedom to the whole universe and everything, of all beings at all times in all places. And then 2 days later, you're like, oh, well, I forgot to give it to this. Right? I mean, it can happen that way. So I don't mean to imply that it's a one-time deal. Okay. It can be, but usually it's not quite that simple. You know. And of course, our family ties are, ironically, they're the ones that we reserve our greatest resentment for. A stranger, you know, you could look at a stranger, you go, God, look at that guy. He does some wacky shit. And you know, you just like, oh, okay, you know, it's a wacky person. Or someone you grew up with, what are you doing that for? How dare you? You see what I mean? We'll grant a stranger freedom that we won't grant somebody we've known all our lives. And usually the closer they are, the less we grant them. It's a great reason why a lot of marriages don't work out. The closer you get, the less freedom you grant. The closer people are together, often, over time, they grant each other less and less and less and less freedom. At the beginning, I love you. I love you. I love you for who you are. I love you thoroughly. Freedom is granted, right? In those first days or weeks or months, I love you. What happens usually after that? I love you. I'm trying to love you. Now I'm down to loving who you could be, and now I'm down to loving who you should be. And do you know what I mean? You're like both, you know, 75. You're sitting on your chairs and not looking at each other, but very proud that you didn't get a divorce. You know. We won't look at each other, but God damn it, we're still together. You see? Because look at you and me and all of us in this room. We're all on an unending journey of the discovery of what love is. It never ends. You get clear on it one day, you can get clearer on it the next day. You get clearer on it the next day, you can get clearer on it a year later. When you think you can't get any more clear and your heart can't get any bigger, another two years later, you're like, my God, how did it get? That's the journey we're on. That's the journey. So in a certain sense, this, even though it's difficult, and I understand this difficulty, especially given the past you had, this is also one of those fierce grace moments.
Yes.
This is like, okay, can I let this be? Can I let somebody who seems to be denied my whole view of something, of my own upbringing, can I grant them freedom to see life that way? Because if I can't, can you feel, not as a moralistic thing, but can you feel if we can't do that we're not really being true to ourselves?
It's a little complicated because she was threatened with an injunction by my stepfather, and disowning and that kind of stuff. So I don't feel that she was true to herself. But
that's
okay.
That's neither here nor there to you. Neither is that for you to judge. Do you know what I mean?
I would like to. I mean,
Byron Katie says, I could be wrong because I haven't heard her that many times, but there's your business, their business, and God's business.
Okay.
Get out of their business, you'll be happy. Get out of God's business, you'll be happier. Stay with your business. Really, and I know that's an easy thing to say, but when you really start to apply it, wow, what an awakener! What a clarifier. When we start to see, my God, anybody that I'm upset out here with, it's because I'm actually in their business. And I'm thinking that their business should be the same as mine. That's part of freeing each other, Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay. You get to be you. And then you start to feel something different. Right? Then there starts to be an inclusion here in the heart. In the heart. You've seen those pictures of like Jesus spreading open his chest and that heart, that spiritual heart.
Yes.
And I love that because it's not only is it a symbol of love, of something very, very deep about our true nature, but he's also literally opening his rib cage. I mean, talk about unprotected. Do you know? And so that's a great teaching in there, is it's got to be unprotected. And the way that we barricade ourselves in our heart is when we think, I can do this, I can open my heart, but only when you do it too. But what that's trying to teach us is your and the nature of our heart, if we really listen to it. That it's there and it is open, and that's why I say that our true nature is an indiscriminate lover of what is. And I think for most of us, that's probably one of the most difficult things for us to realize, to really get that.
Thank you, Ajahn.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming up. I remember a lady she was a woman abbess at a at a monastery I stayed in for a while, and she had spent a lot of time in her past at a very, very famous Buddhist monastery in Japan. She did all of her training there, and she had said to even get into the monastery, you had to sit down and write a letter to everybody you had a grievance with, and set it right or simply forgive them. And it was a very wise thing, actually, especially for someone who's going to go in and become a monk and, and everything, and because so many of them want to hide from their lives, but it was very wise because, somebody, the abbot who ran that monastery knew, as long as you have not granted freedom to the people around you, including the people that you have your biggest grievances with, you can only go so far spiritually, They will hold us up every time. So it didn't mean by just writing a letter that it wouldn't necessarily was going to make it right, but at least it was some attempt, like, hey, okay, let me put this right. And if I can't put it right, or it won't become right, at least I can grant you your freedom to be who you are. Even if I don't like it, even if I don't agree with it, even if I don't endorse it, I can still grant you the freedom to be that way. Even if I have to protect myself from you, I'll still grant you the freedom to be as you are. I'll just protect myself from you. You get the feel of it? Very, very wise thing, actually.